Do you feel like you're floundering under the weight of all the decisions in your home rental, remodel, or design project? And you just wish you could pick the brain and chat it out with a designer to get the clarity you seek? Well, now you can. Welcome, Lauren. I am so happy to have you, and thank you so much for joining me today. And we are going to have a little Ask a Designer brainstorming session, which are always super fun. And to kick things off, let's have you fill me in on where you are at right now in terms of your living room, dining room, kitchen navigation.
Um, I mean, I feel like I need help. I have some pieces that are picked out, but I really just I can't ever like envision things working together. I did just order a piece for this nook, and it's like a console table, so I can remove it at Christmas time and replace that with a tree. I do have some chairs in mind for over there,
Okay.
but I'm just not sure. The original color that I wanted, it's like on back order, and so I can't get them till April. I really would rather have something at least by Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me another color option, but it's black, and so it's like very dark up against my couch, which I'm not opposed to because I typically like dark and moody spaces anyways. But I can't tell if it's gonna like work together, and I don't want it to feel cold. I still want it to feel like warm.
Mm-hmm.
That pot over there is gonna be removed.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put some curtains up over the sliders, so they'll go like completely to both sides. We get like really bad sun, and so we can't see the TV sometimes. So I do have to put something up.
Okay. Do you want to flip over your screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the main questions you had were these chairs going to work with my sofa, and is the direction I'm heading going to work?
Yes.
So, first of all, I will say that I absolutely love the volume that you have going on in your house. It is extremely beautiful and it adds a lot of grandeur to your space. So, it's very beautiful. And with that grandeur and that height that you do have, especially with your height of your ceilings and then those windows, it does add a lot of kind of upwards height that needs to be recognized. And right now, everything in your space is very low. So we need to kind of mix up the furniture styles in order to provide that variety that doesn't let everything feel like it's too low to the ground and that it isn't playing with the volume and it doesn't allow airflow. Furniture is kind of one of those things where it's a give and take between it being low and being a little bit kind of like comfier and overstuffed and not feeling like it's high up on legs, to then mixing it with items that are a little bit higher so that it adds that variety and it kind of plays with the volume. But this is what we're looking at in terms of, so you've got a lovely sofa. It does fit the space very well. It is on the gray side. So you have taupe floors, it looks like. So really one of the first questions I did have for you is, what is your style that you're trying to mix and you're trying to play in the space?
I would say like a rustic, not modern. I don't want it super rustic. I maybe like more of like a rustic contemporary or
Okay.
traditional. I don't know. I like it to feel warm, but I like modern elements.
Okay.
But I also like rustic.
Okay. Because the back chairs that you have in this that are against your countertop, or yeah, against your island, and then your current coffee table are more on the modern side. And then you do have a bit of that play with the traditional sofa. The reason I ask, because some of the pieces that you're picking are very, very modern. So it's just trying to fit in terms of the architecture that you do have in your space, as well as with kind of what style you are trying to bring into your home. So it's a play with the both. So we then face this way, and as you said, that pot that's the turquoisey on the side will be going.
Yes.
Do you have any colors that you're trying to introduce, or are you more sticking with like the monochromatic palette?
I think maybe like, well, just like natural colors, like just a bunch of nature inspired. So I wouldn't mind bringing in green.
Okay.
I just want it to be like very naturey.
Okay.
So, you know, browns, tans. I like black, gray, all that.
Okay, so you do have a bit of that cognac orange tone in the door, which and then also replicated in your bar stools, which I would suggest that we create a third aspect of that and bring that into your living space, because that's currently what's missing in terms of warming up the palette that you have. In terms of these are still this. So your carpet itself is also on the darker tones with the dark brown. You are doing a nice contrast in terms of your darker taupe flooring to your area rug color. You never want it to be the exact same color. It doesn't work very well. You could, if you don't want to do your armchairs in like a cognac type of tan color, you could also do, instead of that, you could do like a jute area rug that's more of that kind of dark earthy tan color, as opposed to it that being replicated in your armchairs. Because I see in this example photo that you have, that's the kind of color that I'm thinking needs to be brought in through your armchairs, which will then create that kind of tertiary where you've got your front door and then you've got your accent chairs at your counter, and then you're replicating through a third time that color is then introduced into your living space, and it's allowing the color to flow.
Okay.
Because you also have that on that back wood wall of your dining room, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
was gonna paint that.
And I would actually keep it, because I think as soon as you introduce it into your living space, and then we bring that color and that warmth full circle through all the areas that relate to one another, it won't feel like it's out of place. I think the reason why you might think that it's not quite right is because we haven't brought that color into the living room right now. So then it's thinking it doesn't have that replication and it feels kind of off on its own.
Okay, that makes sense.
See, and this is where we have, where were you thinking the bench would go?
Behind the sofa, because I had gone back and forth between doing a console table and a bench, and I ended up putting a console table over here in this nook, and so then I was like, well, maybe I should do a bench behind the sofa.
Gotcha. Okay. And you see how here, in order to warm up the gray tones of the sofa, they've brought in some navy blues and then some of those cognac and those richer burnt umber tones in the throw pillows. They're then creating that smaller palette of the warm tones into it. So that's what we need to start creating into the space. And then they've got that more tan kind of color jute area rug. That color might be too close to your floor rugs, but more of that warmth. You could go with the white area rug that you are looking at if you bring that cognac tone into some of your armchairs.
Okay.
The size of this, I would watch. I do agree that you should put a console table behind your sofa, but I think it needs to be a larger one, because if you put too much of a skinny, delicate one in terms of it's the way like the frame looks, as well as the actual width of it, is going to look really dinky behind your large sofa.
Okay.
And it's going to look like proportionally it doesn't fit. So yes, you can go with a white. If you're going to do this, then you need to bring white in again.
So with that, what I had planned on doing was actually layering that other rug that I have. And I don't know if you think that would be a good idea.
Were you thinking white underneath and your rug on top, or your rug underneath and this one on top?
That one underneath and then my rug on top.
Let me go back to. Yeah.
And
that will work.
Yeah.
So do your layered rugs, white underneath. And when you're layering rugs, the size that you need, okay, for a rug in itself, and I was actually going to point this out, the rug that you have currently right now is slightly too small for the size of your sofa.
Okay.
Rugs themselves need, it's either that all aspects of your furniture have a leg or such on them. So when you add your side chairs and then like your side tables, everything somewhat sits on your area rugs, or nothing sits on them. And then the area rug frames kind of the center portion. Right now, your area rug is kind of half in between. So it feels like it's not quite the right size. But if you're layering the larger white rug underneath, then we can actually create that frame properly. We'll just need to make sure that it can go the size that you need it to. So from this, I don't know how, do you know how long roughly off the top of your head your sofa is?
I think it is 134 inches. I measured it.
Okay, so then
Like,
you'd want it
twice.
to extend probably about 8 inches to a foot on either side of the
Okay.
sofa. So you might be looking at a 9 by 12 that you're wanting the white area rug to be.
Well, this rug that I have is a 9 by 12.
Okay.
So what I can do, I can actually take a piece out of my sectional. We actually had considered that anyways. We had to wash a cushion and it actually ripped the cushion. And so it's either get it fixed or take it out. So,
Fair.
you know,
Yeah, so if you shortened it, then you wouldn't have to go quite as large with the white one. So then the actual relief in terms of the size difference could be about 6 inches. In
Okay.
which case, if it needs to be slightly larger in order to frame your seating area properly, then you might need to go for like a larger area rug.
Okay.
Okay, so then if we do the larger area rug around and it frames that, and then were you thinking the 2 armchairs would sit over here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You could do 2 armchairs. You can do a console behind. I would honestly look for more of it if you're trying to blend modern with traditional, you're gonna want to start bringing in some of that traditional. Because right now,
Okay.
all the options that you've shown are very modern. This is a very modern bench, very modern console. That's a very modern side table. All of these are very modern options. Is this the armchairs that you were talking about?
Yes. And so that's the color option that that's in stock. So I can get that, like within 4 weeks. It's not the original color that I wanted, but I just didn't know if it was going to be too dark with my sofa.
Okay. We'll go accent chairs because I believe they actually have a lot of really beautiful ones that can be like this would be more the style that I would consider for you, just something that's got legs. So it's not super high off the ground. So it's not like a armchair that's being put on the side. It is still an accent chair in terms of its overall volume, but it's up a little bit higher off the ground so that it's feeling like it's not fully grounded, which your sofa is fully grounded on the ground. You don't need to do tufted, but just in terms of something that's this color, it's on legs.
Okay.
What other options could we do? Even something like this white one, in terms of its style, not necessarily in white, but it's up on legs. It's got that curvature to it. Furniture pairing, this is too modern and too up high on legs. So we're trying to find something that is like higher on legs so it creates that airflow that we need and then starts to give us a little bit of that elevation in order to make it feel like it fills the space a bit more. And then it's not just so much to the ground like your sofa is.
Okay.
But we also want to bring in more of that traditional aspect through some of your furniture where these are a bit too modern.
Okay.
This can work, although that's like a very leathery style chair. So I know you're looking for something that's a bit more, I guess, so even something like this, I mean, this is very boxy, but just how it's even got that slight little lift in terms of how the feet are done, it gives it a different feeling to them when it's right on the ground.
Okay.
And then here you could also look at introducing green in your furniture. It really depends on where it is that you're wanting to introduce the color palette. But when you say natural in your head, what is that in terms of the colors that you're going to be working with?
I mean, I would just say like not black, not like a hard cold black, but like a dark charcoal, like taupe. I mean, I like the camel colors, like maybe more of an ivory or like a natural light color, not like stark white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really about it. That's like, and then I like to introduce like, I guess more of the camel colored and stuff around like fall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in your house right now, you have a warmer colored floor mixed with more of that orangey red kind of stain on your door. So that's one color that we have that you've also replicated that's on the side wall and then that's in your side chairs.
Mm-hmm.
You have a very light, I think that's more of an ivory kind of soft taupe in your kitchen cabinets.
Yes.
Making sure my computer is rendering it properly. Fireplace, which we can't really forget because it is a very prominent color aspect in your home through the stone that's there. And it has some darker grays, some light blue grays, and then some more of your creamy kind of off whites. So you can pull that creamy off white from that fireplace in terms of what you would bring into your space. We definitely are working with that orangey tone. And then if you wanted to have some green, some blues in there, I would pick the blue undertone from your fireplace and then pick a bolder, more like not a light green, but more of that rich dark green for your space and introduce that into your home.
Okay.
That will help to create your overall color palette that allows you to pick items to create that flow. So when you are then creating colors and you're creating that palette throughout, you're looking at ways that you can introduce those colors in small, medium, and large aspects. So if we are looking at the orangey color, are we going to do that in the accent chairs? Or are we going to do that through some accent pillows? And then are we going to take that color and then replicate it onto the sofa through some accent pillows? So it kind of goes a larger color and then smaller is brought to the sofa and then it ties through the house. And then same with the green. Are we going to do that through maybe some accessories like some vases or some artwork that's got those green tones in it, or even a very large plant that works as well? And something that goes up on this sideboard over to the side here that frames your fireplace, that we're picking up those colors in 3 different zones and we're bringing them in. If you are where you introduce those colors, like those oranges and those greens, is really going to be up to your comfort level. If you are someone who is more comfortable with being bold in their furniture selection, like say those green chairs, knowing that that is something you're going to keep and that you can then introduce in other areas. Or if you're more comfortable in bringing it in smaller spaces like vases and artwork and throw pillows, that you can then switch out as kind of your inclination changes and you're not tied to it.
Okay.
So, but you need to bring those colors in whichever format that you choose into the dining area, the kitchen area, and the living room, because they are all open concept to one another. And then that way it will help it flow.
Okay.
So if you did want to get rid of the back wall and you don't want it to be the orange tone, I wouldn't suggest doing it in the iron gray. Either keep it in the orange burnt tone that it currently is, or paint it a dark, dark green if you're wanting to introduce green.
Okay.
And then that then helps to bring that color in a large format.
Okay. Okay.
And then that way, like if you don't want to redo your dining room chairs, other ways to bring green into your dining room can be through, it depends if you even like linen, you can do that, or like placemats or tableware. You can do it with some vases. You can do it through a change in your light. Candlesticks or an artwork, or maybe it's a framed mirror that goes on the back, so you can introduce those colors that way.
Okay.
This is the style of console table that I would go for you.
Okay.
And then this will actually also bring in a bit of a lighter tone, because that will kind of relate a bit better to your kitchen cabinets. And then that lighter creamy tone that you have in your fireplace brick, as well as that cabinet that sits next to your fireplace.
Okay.
So that coloring in a different area as well. And this is more of kind of that modern traditional. So it's got the turned legs, which is more of a traditional style, but it's more of a modern-esque version of it. And that size is actually probably what you're looking for. Where is the sizes on this? You are 71 inches width. You have 134. So that will leave 20 something on either side. Yep.
Yeah, but if I take that piece out, I think it is 100. Can't remember what it is if I take that piece out.
Mhm.
I think it's like 106 or 10 or something.
Yep. So then you'll have a little piece because you don't want it to be the full size of the sofa on the back. You do want it to have a space on either side, but you don't want to feel like it's way too small in comparison.
Okay.
So then
Okay.
it will frame the sofa on either side. And then you can always put some lamps on top of that, which will then also help with the height because you're trying to fill up the space that you have in that volume, right?
Okay.
So we need to start bringing in items that will bring in the height. I'm assuming with the heat that you have coming in, you need the fan.
Yeah, we have to have a fan. I live
Okay.
in Texas.
That's fair. So you could always consider actually mounting your TV. So then it's a bit higher and it's playing with that height. I'd also look at from a fireplace perspective. You can keep the framed art, but I would maybe do either a mirror that's vertical and then the framed art that kind of sits overlapping it, and you're bringing, and then maybe like a large lamp or a large piece of vase with some flowers. Again, something that brings that height upwards.
Okay.
Because everything right now is very low.
Okay.
It's just making it feel like you've got this volume, and then everything is just kind of pushed downwards.
Okay.
And then when you are going to put your drapes up, there's two things you can do with the drapes. You can either pick the color of the drapes in advance to picking everything else and then work that color inwards. I would probably advise the other way, where there's a lot of colors available in terms of drapery out there. It's far easier to find than furniture and such. So I would probably pick your large pieces in terms of your armchairs and then those side tables that you're going to bring in, and then pull the colors from that in terms of how you're going to tie, and then those colors that you choose to bring into your palette, and then tie that into what you're going to do for your curtains.
Okay.
And then when you're going to mount it, I would actually mount the rail as one solid rail that goes across and is just slightly below where your peaked windows sit.
Okay.
Because that's also going to elongate the height and bring your eye upwards. And you might find once you put your two armchairs in here that you could put two little ottomans on the either side. And then this coffee table might need to become larger.
Okay.
It depends on how you frame that.
Okay. Yeah, I've gone back and forth on that, on actually changing that coffee table out, because I felt like it was kind of small in comparison to the couch. But if I take that piece out, I mean, it may look different.
And then this is also very modern. So this is more of a traditional sofa. So then we put the traditional console on the back, and we put two armchairs that are a bit, even if it's like 4-inch legs, up off the ground on this area. You can keep this as a modern-esque style coffee table. I do like the round. Finding round large is often very difficult. Sometimes the max they come at is 36. So you might have to opt for a square or a rectangle at that point. Okay. If you go larger than that, it's very difficult to find round and larger than 42. 36 is pretty much standard.
So let me ask you this. If I do like maybe a little table in between the two chairs, it doesn't necessarily have to be round, does it?
No,
it could.
God, no.
Okay. Okay.
Nope.
So
no,
I
no,
could
no.
add like a little bit of interest with a square or a rectangle or something. Okay.
Yep. And that's where if you do these two chairs in a bit more of a traditional, and that's traditional, I would suggest blending in the modern in your side tables.
Okay.
Have them in your side table and in your coffee table, and then have the traditional and more of like the big poofy pieces, because that way then it blends in. Because you've also got more of that traditional table in the background over there with your chairs. It's kind of pulling those two aspects together.
I don't have that table and chairs anymore.
Oh,
but
well,
it doesn't look.
Yeah,
I know. I just realized that picture was old, or not old, but before I got the new table and chairs.
Okay.
I don't know if there's even a picture of my new ones or not.
Has this been helpful?
Yes, it has, and I appreciate it.
Do you have any other questions that you'd like to ask me or any other things you'd like some direction on?
I don't think so. I think that that was helpful and kind of making me make a decision on some
Mhm.
other pieces that I do need to bring in.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Wonderful. And I don't know if you know, Overstock right now has their big sale on where for the next 2 days, everything's like 20-30% off. So I know World Market and Overstock have big sales on right now. So they're
Okay.
worth taking a look at if you're looking for pieces at the very beginning moment right now.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for hopping on board. And if people would like to join with you in terms of figuring out what you end up doing with your space, where can people find you?
On Facebook or like Instagram? Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook.
And it's just under Lauren Pride?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a lovely day and your children are absolutely adorable.
Oh, thank you. He's running around. All right. I hope you have a great day.
Wonderful day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
You found this helpful, be sure to give us a like, hit subscribe to be notified when new videos drop, and be sure to share this with someone who could use a design boost. And if you're struggling in your very own red own remodel or design project and want your very own design brainstorming session, be sure to click the link in the description below and snag your spot today.